Good afternoon, kings and queens, gods and goddesses, Ashe. It is so good to be alive and to be coming to you again. We haven't been here in a while, but we are back and we want to share with you, obviously, some things of importance. And what we're going to be talking about today, we have touched on before, but we want you to get another perspective. And I also want you to listen to one of the scholars, okay? So I'm going to take a moment to pause, and we're going to come back, and we're going to begin, okay? So I hope everyone is well, and you're feeling good. I'm actually feeling super fantastic. And why am I feeling that way? I'm feeling that way because I'm alive with the universe, and the universe is alive within me, as well as it should be in you. And the reason for this is because when you're aligned and you're balanced, everything that you intake should balance your life. It should balance your essence and your existence. You shouldn't be putting adverse things in you to throw your balance off. And you know how I am. I'm going to always say things to you that are going to make you think. And for some, it offends some because it only offends those who are not balanced. You understand what I mean? You understand? You understand? That's what happens when you're not balanced. You become touchy-feely. You become very offensive. Because why? Your molecular your molecular makeup is not as it should be. And it all depends on your diet. And when I say diet, I'm not just talking about your intake of food consumption. I'm talking about mental. I'm talking about spiritual. I'm talking about how you entreat others on this planet. That has everything to do with a balanced existence. Okay? And there are some other things that we wanted to talk about, and we're going to eventually get into that as well. But for right now, we're going to revisit where we're talking about the 666 and how it's been given to you from an evil perspective, and how when you read your Bible in Revelations, because Revelation just means to reveal, how in fact it talks about 666, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. 666 is the number of the man, and it talks about he who reads get understanding. This is wisdom. Okay, so we want you to understand that so you can come out of this trickery. You can come out of this trick bag that at one time all of us and a lot of us are still in. I was in it. I will admit that. And that comes through research and study so that you can come out of what's been given to you by your enemy. Because he does not want you to know who you are. And this is 98% of why a lot of us are where we are, because we don't know who we are. See, because we've been tricked into thinking that, we've been tricked into thinking that in this life, everything is material. You know, and that's the trick. That is the trick. See, because I often say, what are you going to do when all those things are not no more? Hello, and if you're keeping up with what's going on in the world, you can actually know, I've done many podcasts on this, you actually know what's going on, that the dollar is plummeting. You know that I've done many podcasts on Brits, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, with many other nations coming on with that Eastern Bloc. To what? To de-dollarize the dollar. And not only that, they're creating this bloc against the G7, the G20, okay? And they're actually, as I speak, they're beginning to galvanize, and they're going to have like 40% of the global intake. So I say all of this because I want you to understand what's actually going on in the world. A lot of us, we live in the world and we have no clue as to what's going on. You know, it's just like things are just all around us happening, and we don't have a clue. But a lot of us will Christianize it. A lot of us are saying, "Oh, these are the signs of the times." True. If you want to say that, that's true. Okay, but what are the signs? Do you understand actually what is going on? Do you understand what's happening? Because it's a lot deeper than what you're actually seeing. And so this is why a lot of us, we bring these podcasts, because we want to infuse in you this understanding, this understanding of what's actually taking place, so that you're not walking around, brain dead. So I'm going to read some things to you, and then we're going to get into the podcast, okay? And we're going to go from there. But as always, we are listening to Scott Buckley and his orchestra. And of course, as we always do, we will mention him in the comments, and he will go from there. So give us a moment, and we are going to be right back. Okay, and we're right back with you. And again, this is Sephmore coming to you again here by the way of Anchor by Spotify and we are actually using this medium to bring you this podcast here on Anchor by Spotify, podcasting through Speaker, iHeartRadio, and more host sites that you actually can enjoy and listen to us. So we are hoping that everyone is doing well. And again, that you're taking in, breathe in, inhale, exhale, enjoy the beauty of this universe, enjoy life, enjoy, and know that your diet is so important. And again, show me a man or a woman who does not have control over their spiritual, mental, physical self. And those persons, you will not be able to trust them. They'll do anything. See, because their attachment is to something other than. You understand what I mean? Other than spiritual. Okay? So, I'm going to read something to you, and I want you to stay with us. Melanin, the myth 3. Okay, melanin is carbon, and we want to read some things to you. And it is said, this part 3, and it's going to be a series. So we're going to be debunking myths on this subject. And I'm going to let you listen to a video. And it talks about the urban myth and the legend. And it says the melanin is carbon, and it has a molecule structure of 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Okay? Let's see. When you start to do something, then your PC wants to start acting really stupid. And let's get this out of here real quick. Give me a minute. Okay. And it talks about, it says it's the six protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? That equals 666, or the mark of the beast. This is what is often scared of a lot of us. It used to do that to me. See, and that happens when you don't have understanding, overstanding, and understanding. Okay? It used to be a scary thing. See, because they've taken, as I've said many times before, our science and flipped it upside down, then gave it back to us. Because they don't want you to know who you are. Okay, it says the mark of the beast. Myth is one of the easiest, or easier rather, melanin myths to debunk. It just goes to show the manufacturers of these myths really haven't thought them through well enough. And I'll just give you an example. Many of you have heard of Henrietta Lacks before. We know that during the 1950s, she got cancer, and she was sick, and she went to the hospital. And then come to find out, when they began to do tests on her and treated her, they took her cells, but what they found out, that her cells kept regenerating themselves. In other words, her cells had markers on them where they just never stopped. So this is a part of the black woman being God, as well as the masculine energy, God and goddess. Okay? And so just recently, if you've been keeping up with the story, or maybe you just heard, her family just got compensated for this theft that these doctors and researchers did, because they did it without their knowledge. And come to find out that her cells were used in every biological treatment that we could probably name to this day, such as polio, such as tuberculosis, such as all of these other different things that they use her cells to create vaccines, and to create different pathogens to treat people. And what they did, they used these cells, and I'm gonna show you how wicked these people are. They create stuff, and then they put a price on it that you could never get. But then they'll take this. It's crazy. They'll take a black woman's cells, right? And they'll treat white people. They'll treat white people, they heal white people, to cure white people. But the same treatment will not be afforded to you. They'll hide it from you. See, because they're trying to find the elixir of life to stay alive forever. And this is why you find out these crazy scientists, they're trying to do all these things to get rid of us. You understand what I mean? And they haven't been able to do it yet, and they will never be able to do it, because we are that God particle in the universe. You need to understand and understand that. We are what holds the universe together. We are that 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons that are connected to not only melanin and melanocytes, but are also connected to the cosmos that make up the galaxies and planets and so forth and so on. And I know that may be above a lot of people's heads, but it is factual, and it's been scientifically proven. Okay, and it goes on to say that the melanin is carbon and has a molecular structure of 6 protons, as I just read, neutrons, 6 electrons, and it talks about the 666, and it just goes to show you that the manufacturers of these myths really haven't thought them through well enough. Now listen to this. Melanin is worth more than gold. You probably didn't know that, did you? It talks about It shows in his book that you can probably get. It's called "The Melanin is Worth More Than Gold." Okay, and this is by what's his name? Nnamdi Akwasi, Azakwasi or something like that. I'm not probably saying it right. This book reveals how this started. 9 months after a marker was laid at the grave. Now listen to this. At the grave of this honorable lady, Henrietta Vinton Davis, perpetuation rations to honor the 154 black women lynched in America began. They lynched 154 black women. Then the thought came, melanin is a chemical. Chemicals have a dollar value. What is the dollar value of melanin? When the answer came, melanin was worth more than gold, silver, platinum, palladium, rhodium, and coltan combined. Listen to that. Combined. The best way to falsify or verify any myth or legend. Okay, he talks about this Google scholar. Below, we revealed our findings so you can objectively judge for yourself. Okay, and obviously, this hoax is a subliminal attempt to demonize the melanin rich. When you feel good about yourself, it's hard to feel bad about anyone or anything else. If it's one thing we feel good about here at our apologies, kings and queens, we were rudely interrupted and we're back. And I'm hoping that you can hear me. And we're going to continue. We're going to continue because it happens. It happens. It happens. Okay, and we left off where we was talking about the subliminal attempt to demonize melanin rich when you feel, and we talked about the price of what melanin is, and the price is higher than actually gold. Okay, when you feel good about yourself, and I mentioned that earlier, and hopefully you'll get it. It's hard to feel bad about anyone or anything else. If it's one thing we feel good about here at K Yeshama and the Awakening, it's ourselves. We have documented the dollar value of melanin, and it is easily verifiable. Melanin is currently worth $500 a gram. Listen to that. It also means melanin is worth over 441 a gram more than gold, simply put. Okay? Carbon is not now, nor has carbon ever been worth more than gold. 25 grams of carbon is worth only $234. Why would the company selling melanin for one price sell carbon for almost 50 times less if they were the same thing? Makes sense, right? When they told you melanin is carbon, that was a lie. Melanin is worth more than gold. Now here's the blasphemy of it. Allow us to show why this is blasphemy. 666 is a reference to a Bible verse in Revelations, for all you Bible people, 13:18, where it says, "Here is wisdom." Listen now. "Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The Bible also tells us in Genesis 1:27, "So God created man, and in his own image, in the image of God created he him, male and female he created them." The first human was named Adam, Adam and his wife, Then in Genesis 3:20, "And Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living things." Understand that. She was the mother of all living things. Okay? Why would God make two beings in his own image and then put the mark of the beast in them? See, now this is what we have to get. He put the mark of the beast in them. Now, mind you, that the number of the beast, and it talks about in Revelation, it says it is a man. It didn't say nothing about it was a devil. See, because a lot of times the devil is only in your mind, and it has to do with ego. We talked about that before. So a lot of times we create devils in our subconscious by what we've been taught. So we'll create a devil because the wicked one is wise. So he gets you to create a devil because he brought it to you. And so when we say we were born in sin, when we came from the cosmos of heaven to earth, we were born in skin. You wasn't born in sin. You was born in skin. But, I digress. Let me move on. Okay. Okay, so it says, she's the mother of all living things. Why would God make two beings in his own image and then put the mark of the beast in them? Does that mean God is the beast? This is the blasphemy we referred to above. The most recent common ancestors of all human beings are from Africa. Mitochondrial, we've all heard that word before, mitochondrial DNA. Eve lived about 200,000 years ago in East Africa. Y chromosomal Adam was a man who lived between 200,000 and 300,000 years ago. If God created us in his image, and science proves the first humans had high levels of melanin in their skin, you can see why atheism is on the rise. And that is because those who've created all these so-called theologies and myths, and myths are not bad. It's just about what myths are you espousing to. The ones that they wanted us to espouse to as looking at us as, and they were demonizing black. But they know that black inhabits everything in the universe, in the cosmos. And, we're going to be talking about how that the extraterrestrials tie into this, because there's a lot of talk about this today and what is actually going on. And they're not telling you because they're lying about a lot of things and they've twisted it, but that's a whole nother subject. Okay, so we're going to move on. It is true that carbon has 6 protons, positively charged particles, 6 neutrons, uncharged particles, and 6 electrons, negatively charged particles. Okay, let's see about that. See, because another thing we have to understand too, that 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, that when you're splitting atoms and so forth, sometimes you get negative charges of protons or electrons, and sometimes you don't always get 6, but it always comes back to that, because sometimes you can get a 1 proton or 1 electron and you have 6 neutrons, and vice versa. But then you have carbon base 12. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, because we have a lot to give you. It is like a hidden secret part of the Google that most people don't know about. Okay, and there have been studies and so forth. So we'll skip that, and we'll give you what is relevant. Search for 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. And of course, as you already know, you can do your own studying and find these things out. Okay? Of the 217 results, the first should be The isotopic mass defect, a tool for limiting molecular formulas by accurate mass. It is from the journal, and you can look this up on your own, Analytical and Bioanalytical Chemistry. And this is August 10th, volume 397, issue 7, page 2807-2816. And in the article, you will find the statement as example 12, C consists of 6 protons, accurate mass of 1,000.7277, U each, 6 electrons, okay, and accurate mass of 0.000548597 U each, and 6 neutrons, accurate mass of 1.008665 U each. Okay, and the book will give you the outline of that, and how you can study that. Okay, so moving right along. And it talks about the Oxford Handbook of Philosophy of Science, 2016, says the following on page 411. An atom of carbon-12, for example, has 6 protons, 6 neutrons each of which consists of 3 quarks, and in a ionized state, 6 electrons. Alan B. Cobb, in his book, The Basis of Nominals, tells us on page 18 most carbon occurs in the form of isotopes. Carbon-12 and C12. Carbon-12 is very stable. It has 6 protons and 6 neutrons. Carbon-12 accounts for about 98.9% of all carbon. And you know that carbon is in everything on the planet. That's why we talked about before carbon-based entities, which we are. Okay, carbon's in rocks, and that's how they do carbon dating on skeletal remains and so forth. They look at the level of carbon that are in those skeletal remains to give an accurate study of the age and so forth and how long it's been around. So that's what they use, because carbon, as we just mentioned, is in everything. It's in our plant life. It's in us. It's in the cosmos. It's in the sun. I mean, you name it. Carbon is in it. It's in your food. And that's why it's so important to know that what you're intaking is carbon-based. And that's like a lot of vegetables, a lot of green leafy stuff, a lot of dark fruit, okay? It has these things in it that are good for you. And you need to start eating less meat. Eat less meat. Eat less meat, and make your diet that of vegetables and things that boost your spiritual essence, like pecans. A lot of, you can eat grains like cashews. I buy this cereal from the store. It's not really cereal like granola, but it has flaxseed in it. It has pumpkin seeds. All these things are great for your body. When you put these things in your body's going to thank you. Your body's going to love you. And you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Trust me. Your body talks back to you. It'll tell you exactly how it's feeling when you put it in you. Does that make sense? Your body will tell you, thank you. Yes, by how it feels. Okay, so let's move on. So these things, these carbon-based elements are in everything. The chemical formula for melanin is, now listen. So yeah, carbon has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Carbon-12 specifically, which accounts for, as I mentioned just a moment ago, 98.9% of all carbon. The chemical formula for melanin is C18 Carbon, 18. H means hydrogen, 10. And N is for, we got carbon, we got hydrogen, we got, N, and then oxygen. Oxygen, and I'm trying to think of the other one. But anyways, you get my drift. That means there are 18 carbon atoms. Listen, 10 hydrogen and 2 nitrogen. That's what I was trying to say. Nitrogen and 4 oxygen atoms in a melanin molecule. Melanin is a carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen compound. Okay. What is carbon-12? It is an element in the Georgia State University Department of Physics and Autonomy Hyperphysics website explains carbon as forming more chemical compounds than any other element than hydrogen. Many of the chemicals in living organisms are hydrocarbon compounds of carbon. Are hydrocarbon. The field of organic chemistry is primarily the chemistry of the compounds of carbon. The page talks about graphite and even diamonds. Diamonds have carbon in them. In fact, diamonds come from carbon. Don't know whether or not you knew that. The pressure from diamonds come out of carbon. No mention of melanin, though. The International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry describes an element as atoms with the same number of protons in the atomic nucleus. Pure chemical substance compound of atoms with the same number of protons in an atomic nucleus. Okay, I'm going to let you listen to this gentleman, this scholar, for a moment, and we'll be back. And if we don't have enough time, we'll continue on another podcast episode, okay? That's what we'll do. So stay right with us. Okay, listen up. And see, one of the things I want to say is, it's more important to hear than see. I'm not saying it's not important to see, but because a lot of people are able to grasp things through seeing, but it's important that it gets in your spirit that you hear. So what you are actually hearing is the entrance of the brothers playing the African drums, leading this scholar in. So we'll go ahead and we'll let you hear.
Just informed that I got about an hour now. That doesn't leave me any time for any preliminaries. I'm going to have to get right down to business for tonight. Much of what I want to share with you, you'll have to get on my tapes back there on the table. But I'm going to begin now by going into a text from the book of Revelations. Some declare that it's a mystery book, but the very word itself means to reveal. The original name for it was the Apocalypse, was the title of it, which meant to reveal hidden things. We're going into the 13th chapter now, and we'll begin with the 15th to the 18th verses. It reads thusly, "And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Tonight we're going to be discussing solving the mystery of 666, the degeneracy of the Roman Catholic priesthood as foretold in the Bible. Now, you know, I use the Bible as a revolutionary textbook because I am an African nationalist freedom fighter. And I come in the tradition of the theology of black liberation founded by such great masters of that genre as the Right Reverend Nat Turner, the Right Reverend Gabriel Prosser, Henry Holland Garnett, and a host of many others. So there's only one possible way I can approach this book or any other book, and that as a freedom fighter for the liberation of our people. And because it was originally our book before it was tampered with, we can define it in any manner and interpret it in any manner that we desire to. And we always define it in the context of African historical reality, African-centered historical reality and culture. Are we clear on that? Are we agreed on that? Before I go into a brief exegesis of the text and an Ebonics translation thereof, I want to just share a few thoughts with you. One from my book, African People and European Holidays, A Mental Genocide, Book 2, page 5960. I don't know why this thing that these degenerate crackers are doing with their children and some of our children should come as a surprise to African people or anybody else. It ain't no new thing. It didn't just start happening yesterday. It's a part of their historical degenerate existence. During the time of the Christian Crusades, homosexuality and pederasty, that is sexual abuse of young boys, was very popular. Was what? Very popular. Don't forget the very now. Very popular and widely accepted in England. Not only England, all over Europe. But I happen to be writing about England at this time. England was a reflection of Italy and everything else, and especially a reflection of the Roman Catholic Church and what it stood for. Many of the knights, these are Catholics now, took their favorite little boys with them to be their sexual partners while they were away on the Crusades, fighting for Jesus. take the Muslim wealth of the East. For these gallant, quote-unquote, knights in shining armor, rape of women and men was matter-of-factly and very common. Dogs, goats, cows, pigs, geese. Geese? How do you do that? And an astonishing variety of animals were used in the common practice of bestiality by the nobility and general populace in England, and incest was epidemic. This crusade, despite its quote-unquote holy enthusiasm, is what was produced out of it. Now I'm going to go to another writer. I'm going to go to a devil, but he's giving me some good information here. And you can get some good information from the devil on occasion. If you know how to read the devil. You got to be able to read the devil now. Will Durant, in his book, The Story of Civilization, that series, volume 4, page 821 to 822, says, by the age of 16, the medieval youth, that is throughout Europe now, we're talking about these crackers in Europe, which were dominated by the Roman Catholic Church at that time. There was no other church that was permitted at the time. They would kill you if you tried to worship in any other way than the one they prescribed at that time. They burnt your butt at the stake. By the age of 16, the medieval youth had probably sampled a variety of sexual experiences. Pederasty, remember what that is, messing with young boys, which Christianity had effectively attacked in late antiquity. It didn't do it originally, but the populace forced them to come out against it at some time. Reappeared with the Crusades and the unisexual insulation of monks and nuns. First of all, you got to be crazy to think that you're going to cut off the force of nature and call yourself holy and dedicated and sacred to Christ. The nuns married to Christ, they put on a wedding gown and a diamond ring. And how come they finding all them babies under them monasteries when they dig up under there? Somebody been doing something somewhere, but it's all right. They can do whatever they want to. All they got to do is go to confession and beat themselves. If they beat themselves for having sin, that was a part of getting off the hook there. Where's the morality in that?
I just want to stop for a moment and kind of say some things. Now, it was believed that during those times, medieval times, when the Roman Catholic Church was ruling, and how the brother just mentioned how people used to flog themselves. They used to take the cat o' nine tails and hit themselves on the back where they would bleed. And that was an act of your sins being forgiven, or of course you would go to confession. And the other thing is, actually, you heard how he talked about homosexuality that was rampant in Europe. That's what they do. And see, they've enforced this on us. They brought this culture in our culture. And those demons are rampant in our culture now. And we have to eradicate that because it's filthy, it's nasty. It's nasty, it's ungodly. It is ungodly. Okay? And then he also mentioned and talked about how, bestiality, how these people were having intercourse with animals. I mean, and just recently, this white lady was arrested for having sexual intercourse with her dog. Now, that's just gross and trifling and nasty. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what is in the world. So this is why, sisters, you have to be careful, and you have to make sure that when you are out and when your daughters are out, that you warn your daughters, because with all the organ harvesting that's going on and the melanin extraction that's taking place, okay, and you see all these people go missing, and I don't say this to scare you, But I'm telling you to be aware when you're going to the mall, and if you're out late at night and you're driving somewhere and you park your car and you notice there's a van by your car when you're getting ready to come out or leave, make sure that you have somebody walk you out to your car that may be in the store if you notice that something doesn't look right, okay? Because they're snatching up a lot of people, okay? And not only are they snatching them up, but they're taking their organs. And also, if you burn bodies down to ashes, what is ashes? Ashes are carbon, and you can sell it. And then, of course, the melanin extraction. And we just mentioned to you how 400 grams or 40 grams or whatever it is $500 a gram. And so these people are trying to find, if they'll eat mummies and all this kind of crazy stuff, they're trying to find ways to sustain themselves. And they're trying to find ways, as I mentioned earlier, trying to find the elixir of life because they want to live forever, because this is it for a lot of people once they leave here. And those are those individuals who are not connected to the cosmos, not connected to the creator, not connected to this melanin-rich existence in essence. This is it. So they're doing everything they can to bring how many other people they can with them. So listen up.
Philip the Fair charged that homosexual practices were popular among the Templars. That was the main foreground of the so-called knights who were going to invade the East at that time in the Christian Crusades. The penitentials, ecclesiastical manuals prescribing penances for sins. That is, you could commit these sins, but you had to do a penance. Beat yourself, lick a cow's butt, do something. Yes, that's recorded. Mention the usual enormities, including bestiality. Where amers of this sort were discovered, they were punishable with the death of both participants. And the records of the English Parliament contain many cases of dogs, goats, cows, pigs, and geese being burned to death with their human paramours. The cases are numerous. So they killed you and the animal too. In fact, those ignorant, backward fools would put the damn animal on trial in court. And question it. They dug up one animal that they had found guilty because they found out something else he had did. The corpse, it was falling apart. They dug it up and beat it to pieces. Brother Malcolm said, peace be upon him, you're dealing with a silly man. You're dealing with the most ignorant creature that ever appeared on the face of the earth. Regardless of all this here thing he puts out to you, that he's got all this great scientific, he doesn't have anything but an illusionary world. All of our scientists and thinkers can outdo him 1,000 times over. And Dr. Yibo has broken, the ancestors gave him something that Einstein couldn't come nowhere near. Because he didn't have the essential qualification. Melanin. Didn't have a magic ingredient.
You hear that?
He wasn't a part of the original black man and woman. I know y'all don't want to hear this no more. You don't become so sophisticated and politically enlightened, you don't want to hear that. The white man is the devil, a beast, and as Dr. Sakmet Afanada said, a mass of underdeveloped protoplasm. He's just a monkey that we taught that knew how to imitate us well, but never accomplished on the level that we did and are capable of doing, and we walking around trying to raise ourselves up to his low standard. As a matter of fact, Dr. Clark, peace be upon him, told me any degree he gives us is a cocktail degree. I know we went through something to get them degrees and all that, but the only degrees that really matter is those that we have acquired from our people based on the knowledge that we have secured since we have come to a knowledge of our African selves. I ain't trying to put nobody down. I did my low walks too. We all did. But the most important knowledge and the greatest knowledge in the world is that which is coming to us at this time, that is being uncovered after 500 years of being buried. As the phoenix rises again. Again, where did these Catholics get this stuff from? How far back in history does it go? How far back in his story does it go? All the way back to the Greeks. The word gem describes a place where the Greeks got together, exercised buck naked with the young boys. No women were allowed, so they could rape the young boys. I don't want to wrestle nobody in the nude unless it's my woman, and I ain't gonna be wrestling her. Make it plain. Two men wrestling each other in the nude. And the one who conquered get to poke the other one. That's how it went in ancient Greece. And they went into battle buck naked with a cape and a helmet. Sword and a shield. I don't know about you, when I was a young man and foolish, I got caught some places I should not be with my pants down. Got my butt whipped till I could get my pants on. I can't fight naked. You have me at a tremendous disadvantage. But them crackers could fight naked. Because the first man they fell in battle, they made the conquest complete by poking him. That's what they write in their history, y'all. Now we're talking about Nero. Emperor Nero. The Romans inherited what they got from the Greeks, who used to have celebrations to their hermaphrodite deity. What was the name of it? Jack, help me. I got it written in my book. I'm rushing now. Which one was that? The hermaphrodite? They had a lot of them. But there's one they used to, Dionysius. No women were allowed in the celebration. This is a religious festival, a religious celebration, y'all. No women allowed. Because the men drank wine, got drunk, and poked each other. But you couldn't have babies that way. So they go home and beat up their wives and take the stuff. And it was all right by law to do that. Just like at one time in Victorian England, the age of consent was considered to be 6 years of age. They tried to convict one of those dukes or counts or one of those aristocracy for raping a young girl that was 6 years of age, and they said they couldn't because the age of consent for sexual consent was 6 years old. And you wonder why these people are acting this way over here. They're the same people. You know, let them bamboozle you with the words that they use. With what Dr. Marimba Ane calls in the book Yurugu, what does she calls that? Ethical rhetoric. Yeah, the rhetorical ethic, that's what it is. Sounds good, but can't do none of it, don't mean a thing. Because it ain't got the swing. That soul swing. Well, talking about his wife, Poppaea, who died in 65 CE, in advanced, Poppaea, in advanced pregnancy, allegedly from a kick in the stomach, and rumor said that this had been Nero's answer to her reproaches for having come home late from the races, because she was known to be all over with everybody and everything. He grieved bitterly over her passing, for he had eagerly awaited an heir. He had her body embalmed with rare spices, gave her a pompous funeral.
We are back again, and we're going to continue, hopefully without these interruptions. Here we are.
Maximum, descendants of the Caesars. And this is how so many of those Caesars acted, Nero being one of them. Y'all all right? And might I remind you, I don't think I need to remind this group here, that the transatlantic slave trade could not have been successful for the Europeans if it had not had the blessings of the Pope of Rome. You running around here calling these degenerate crackers father, and they putting a white wafer in your mouth talking about the body of Jesus. You're cannibal. South, east, and west. Women, children, men, cattle, anything. Sheep, mostly sheep. What's his favorite? Now let me, and for y'all that love Jesus, although there was nobody ever in existence with that name, but Yeshua was fighting the Roman Empire in his day, was crucified as a rebel against that empire. Get my tape, a black revolutionary called Jesus. They were clear on why they killed him. You don't come along and say he was trying to save the world from sin, whatever that is. Now let me see if I can do an exegesis on this text. I'm going to have to do it from the top of my head now, since I can't go into all these notes I have. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. First of all, let me give you just a little bit of background on this. The man that is reportedly to be writing this, because we don't know who the authors of any of these things are in the New Testament, because there's no document that exists from the period that they're supposed to be writing about. Nothing that goes back further than 200 of this era. So you can't prove any of this by itself. But there's a lot of African symbolism up in here that gives us some keys that we can work with. And if you want to teach this to our people from the Bible, you got something to work with here. Because they scared of Revelation. Very few preachers will even mess with it. And Revelation is talking about the end of the world. We're living in the time of Revelation. Well, if you were living in 96 CE, you would be living in the time of Revelation. You're now living in what they call, quote unquote, 2002, which is actually 64 something. Are you clear on that? Because the book tells you in the first chapter the revelations of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him, which he gave unto his servant John, of things that are shortly to come to pass. So it had nothing to do with no year 2000. So stop saying that. It sounds foolish. He was dealing with the struggle they were having with the Roman Empire at that time. Why can you say that? I'm qualified to say it because I know this book backwards and forwards. And I won't say it again. It may sound like I'm boasting, but I'm going to say it again. I've read it at least 7 times from cover to cover, and before I stop counting, I have read it in Hebrew and in Greek. I have read all the historical documentations of the times that it was supposed to have been written in, and that's why I'm qualified to mess with your Bible like that. Challenge any theologian, anywhere, anytime, anyhow. Now, in the 13th chapter, he said, look, I'm standing on the sands of the sea. In Revelation 17, it tells you that the sea represents nation, tongues, and people, especially overcrowded spaces on the earth. So the sea is a symbol of a location, a geographical location where there is overcrowding. And I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. The beast represents political powers. Political powers that have extensive influence. I'd like to give you all the text for this. You go in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter, and it will corroborate what I'm saying to you. And he said, on this beast that rose up out of this people, out of this motley of people that were in a congested condition, there is a power that would become universal on the planet that rises up from among them. And this power that rises up has 7 heads and 10 horns. Heads symbolizing governmental powers. And that it is inheriting nothing that it creates of itself, but what it has taken from the nations that preceded it. Cush, Kemet, Persia, India, all those nations that Rome came in to conquer and took from but never achieved on the level of, and outdid all of them in wickedness, because all nations have had some wickedness going on within them. It took a cacophony of all that was done that was bad and made it into a master science and dominated the globe with it. Are you with me? We're solving the mystery of 666 now. This beast rising up out of the sea, and he has 10 horns. What are these horns? These are kings and kingdoms. Habakkuk chapter 4 tells you that. And what are these 10 kingdoms? They are the 10 kingdoms of Western Europe that at that time weren't even nations. There were no England, there was no Germany, there was no France, but they had these little loose kingdoms of wild tribes. So he coming up in a crowded area where these 10 kingdoms are fighting over each other, these kingdoms that become England, France, Germany, Yugoslavia, all those things like that. There, as I said, I don't have time to go right into the notes, but I can give it to you word for word. But y'all help me now. Somebody pray for me. Don't pray to God now, because I don't want you praying to no dog. Pray to the Creator. And tell Dr. Shabbat, tell him pray to Allah, the all and in all. And don't forget Allah, the mother force. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and seat and great authority. The leopard is symbolized, according to Daniel the 7th chapter, as the Greek kingdom. And his body is the body of a leopard because the body is a symbol of action and movement. What was the action and movement of the Grecian kingdom? They spread cruelty and warfare swiftly wherever they went. That was their favorite thing to do, to conquer. And they also spread the degeneracy of homosexuality, bestiality, and pederasty, and all those other things they were involved in the so-called great Greek culture, which wasn't shit. Greeks have nothing they can call their own. I just couldn't find a better word, y'all. They have not, and some of our scholars whom I greatly respect, well, we cannot forget the Greek. Forget what about the Greeks? What did they do? If you want to know what they did, ask Dr. George G.M. James and stole later. They stole everything. They didn't have nothing. Herodotus say we ain't no squat. Mathematics, nothing. We ain't no gods and goddesses until we met with these Africans. Until the Africans met with us. Because we didn't even know how to go anywhere till they came. Y'all all right? And his feet were like the feet of a bear. The bear symbolizes the Medo-Persian Empire, which was conquered by the Greeks. And the Persians had conquered the great Kemetic Empire and had desecrated the temples of our ancestors. That's why it said it had the feet of a bear. Desecration there. The Greeks were faggot and effeminate, and the Medo-Persians were desecrators. They said smoke with the mouth of a lion. The lion was a symbol of the Babylonian Empire. The Babylonian Empire swooped down on the Sumerian Empire, which was the land of the blackheads, caused admixture. The Amorite Babylonians swooped down on the Akkadian Babylonians, and the Amorites took charge, even though the nation was still primarily its labor and its soldiers were Africoid in appearance. But they were a dastardly bunch. They were a blasphemous bunch. They were a bunch who claimed unto themselves the power of the divine mind of the creative force in the universe. Now, this is no new thing that animals represent nations. What is America represented by? What was the Roman Empire represented by? So what is America? an extension of the Roman Empire. Them faggot English got a nerve to, there ain't no lions in England, got a nerve to call themselves a lion. Russians call themselves boom, boom, bam. And I saw, and this thing about, I'm going to get down to this number in a minute. He said that a dragon gave him his power. Who was the dragon? The Roman Empire was called the dragon. Read Revelation, the 12th chapter. That's the dragon. So the dragon gave the beast his power. We got to find out who this beast is. Because we're talking about 666. The degeneracy of the Roman Catholic priesthood as foretold in the Bible. And I saw one of his heads that it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. In 1798, General Mathia attacked the city of Rome and dispatched the Pope off of his throne, and the power and sway that the Roman Catholic Church had held over all Europe and the slave trade was now broken for a time. He said, but that wound was healed. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, that is Rome. Everything in this country is based on Rome, Roman quote-unquote culture. The main alphabet used here is what? Rome. The letters used here are what? Roman numerals when they want to signify something important. And what do they use as a governing body? The Roman Senate. A corruption of the Council of Elders of African people. Are y'all with me? I know I'm throwing out a lot in a little bit of time, but you got the mind. I'm working with the right group here. And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who able to make war with him? Who can come up against him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue for 42 months. Pope Leo X says, the Lord our God no longer reigns. He has appointed me as the power on earth. They are called Vicarious Filiae Dei, which we'll deal with in a minute. Vicar of the Son of God on earth. I am the power. It is said in the Roman Catholic Church that the priests have the power to bring what they call God out of the heavens and transmogrify him on the plate into a white wafer so you can eat him. So you can get freakish with him. That's the Ebonics translation for the brothers and sisters who ain't here. Y'all still with me? Yes, sir. Let me get back to the text now. Now, what is this 40 and 2 months? The Hebrew calendar, when speaking in prophecy, dealt with 30-day periods, 30 days per month. When you go 30 times 42, you come up with 1,260. If you read, in Ezekiel, I think, where it says a day is a year in prophecy, and a year is a day. If you add all those 1,260 days up, you come up with 1,260 years. What is the historical significance of that? When the old Imperial Roman Empire was attacked by Odoacer and Theodoric and other Germanics, when it was attacked and was beginning to fall, it was given power again by Clovis. They call him French, but they would call something else at that time. By Clovis in 538. And it is said that the Pope sits on the exact throne that the Roman emperors used to sit on, and therefore inherits the power and the culture of the Roman emperors, like Nero and Hadrian and others who loved them young boys. Are y'all with me? Yeah. You see the significance of this? Yeah. See where I'm going with it? In 1798, that's 1,260 years after 538, General Mathia broke the power of the papal reign for a while. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against the Creator, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. I've already talked about it. It was given unto him to make war with the saints, that is, doers of good deeds, those who are trying to do right, is what that means. And to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Every nation on this earth has been infected by the Roman Catholic Church and its degeneracy, because it was their soldiers who went and conquered other nations, other people, and invaded them. That is a historical reality. Don't hit me with no belief now. We ain't even talking about belief. We're talking about historical reality. Everywhere those degenerate dogs went, they took filth with them, where there was no homosexuality, where there was no prostitution, where there was no child molestation. It occurred because of the influence they exerted and imposed on the peoples of color that they conquered all over the world. Many Negroes are still conquered by the Roman Catholic Church, going up in there, set the moves down and do full stuff. I gotta fast for Lent. Don't even know what it means or what it's about, just doing some dumb stuff. Never investigated it. Wake up! It said he would influence every nation, kindred, and tongue, and it has. In fact, to me, I don't approve of any of the Christian religions. I don't. It all has been used against us, but that is the dumbest of all. In countries where that is dominant, the people are really backward, are the most backward. Have you ever asked yourself that? Why? Because they really control the mind through their confessionals and all of that. It's a mind control institution. A secret society is what it is, while claiming to save the world. From what? Save me from you. 8th verse, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. Yeah, you Baptists, you Methodists, you Presbyterians, you whatever you are, worship him too. Because the Pope of Rome is the titular head of Christendom. Heads of state, he doesn't come to visit them, they go to visit him and kiss his hand. Or whatever else they may kiss behind closed doors. The presidents of the United States, which is supposed to be the most powerful nation on earth, go see the Pope. He don't come to see them. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the life of the Lamb, book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now that word lamb is a key word. What kind of hair does a lamb have? Connected up with Revelations 1:13 and 15, he had hair like lamb's wool. What he had from the foundation of the earth. Who was around at the foundation of the earth in terms of humanity? The woolly-haired people were around. See, he makes war on them. The most dangerous thing in the world to the Catholic Church or any institution of white supremacy is enlightened, burrhead niggas. I say that affectionately. Enlightened Africans who ain't trying to straighten their hair and look like him. That love being African in the state that they were created and made. Y'all all right? I have to keep asking because, you know, I've been put out of places. If any man have an ear, let him hear. It's in there. Listen. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Say, now it may look like this man is indestructible and unbeatable, but the law of karma must be fulfilled. This man has used violence all over the earth. He will perish by his own violence. I like that text of scripture that says, Ephraim is gone after his idols. Let him alone. And that's what we need to do with them white folks. Leave them alone. Even though we have to work among them and do business. You can be in the world, but not of the world. But you have to emotionally, you have to spiritually, mentally let them go. And as soon as we can, get away from them physically. I believe if we get away from them physically, Dr. J will never feel another pain in life. Sickness will not be able to exist once we get away from them degenerate devils. For one thing, we're eating a European diet and wonder why we stay sick all the time. They like pork so much because it's the animal that favors them the most. The Panthers didn't call them pigs just by accident. Oh, that sounds so hateful. The Bible says, I hate them, oh hate thee, oh God. And you must hate the Creator to take people and sell them as animals and as property. So if you can be that hateful, I ain't got no problem with hating you. And it also says, the Creator says, I hate unrighteousness. So the Creator who is perfect hates unrighteousness. Hey, I'm only human. You know, nothing's more unrighteous than what these people have done and are doing. And I beheld another beast. Who is this? I think we have defined who the first beast was. But I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. That's sparsely populated areas. And he, where am I? Let me get myself together. I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The two horns were supposed to be the dual government of Republican and Democratic, rising up out of this area that later became known as America. But even though he came up with this so-called equal righteous society for justice and liberty for all, he spake as a dragon. For he spake by the authority of his armies, the Roman army. You either do it, or I will kill you, or put you in jail. Are you with me? And he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. There was an awakening in the latter half of the 18th century towards the Roman Catholic Church, and growth of it to now they own about 2/3 of the property in the United States of America. Now you can check that out if you want. I'd be happy for you too. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. Who does that? What is that? Those bombs coming down out of the air. All of his technology, there's an illusion in the world. It just fascinates everybody. And he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. You got to look like, act like, talk like, be like, and accept the religion of the beast to succeed here in America. Why, you can't even go to work with your hair in its natural style without being threatened for your livelihood. You better not go there in your garb. You'll be standing in the unemployment line. If you don't have the image of the beast, you can't make a living in this country, according to them. Y'all with me? And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Yes, he does. Projects the image of these white people, and this Pope is being gentle and wanting peace and all that through his media all over the world. He projects that image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. How much hell did Muslims catch? I'm talking about before this 9/11 fiasco. How much hell did Muslims catch in the this country, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and others, Deuce Muhammad and others many years ago, because they weren't following what? The beast. And worshiping him. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand. What is a mark? A characteristic trait. What is a hand? The right hand is what you do with, what you cause things, your work with. If you don't have the characteristic traits of the beast culture and worship and believe in the beast, you therefore will not be able to carry out your work on this earth according to them. You've got to have that, and your work means nothing to them unless it has that mark. And it says not only in your hand, but in your forehead. That means you're thinking. You got to be a Negro most messed up. You just heard Brother Alton, that great soldier, talking about these Negroes get paid off. They put these Negroes out here as your heroes. The NAACP Image Award. How in the name of heaven can you give an image award for, supposed to be for young black folks to look up to, of Michael Jackson, who is busy peeling his skin off? The image of the beast. Making all the millions. Why? Not because he's more brilliant than any other musician. I know people can out-sing and out-dance him. But the beast allows him to do that. Why? Because he carries forth the image that they want our young people to embrace. And that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. If you're not caught up in their system, you ain't going to have no money to feed yourself. That is what they're working on at this time. Oh, you're all supposed to be Africans and all of that, huh? We'll show you. And they will cut into your way of making their living every chance they get. One friend of mine who was in high financial, raised millions of dollars for the Oman Ghana project. The white folks made up something on him, told him in court that he had no business as a black man getting involved in that kind of high finance. Then after they made him serve in prison, put him on probation, then they forbade him to practice his craft. Which was because he could really pull in some money there. So they will do that. No, they make you go get a dishwashing job or something like that. You better obey the beast or he'll punish you. Now, how do I know what I'm talking about here? Let's sum it up. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count.
Now, I just want to stop very briefly, and we're going to be finishing up. And I want to remind you, there are two beasts. I don't want you to get that twisted, okay? And there's a second beast that rose up. So when you read Revelations, understand what he's saying, because a lot of us will get it misconstrued that there's only one beast, but there's two beasts. And we're going to find out what the 666 is going to go into that, and you're going to hear. And we're going to be finishing up, okay? All right, listen up.
The number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. You remember that medicine? Some of y'all been around as long as I have. They used to give you.
666, yeah. I remember my granddad used to have that.
Designed to do? Clean the filth out of it. All I'm trying to do is clean the filth out of my life. 666. In the New English translation of this text, it says, whoever is intelligent can figure out the meaning of the number of the beast, because the number stands for a man's name. Let's look at the words in the Triple Crown that is worn by the Pope of Rome, as Dr. Ben called him, a little faggot with a cap on. You got to ask yourself about an institution that forbids men and women from carrying out the natural order of the cosmos in the first place. Vicarious Filii Dei. The V stands for 5. The 1, these are all Roman numerals, stands for 1. The C, help me, y'all know it. The A which is interchangeable with V, stands for 5, and the S, of course, is 0. We got 112 there, right? Filii, F, 0. I, 1. L, 50. We like to say 50. 50. I, 1. I, 1. 53. D, D-E-I. D, 500. E0, I1, 501. Add 112, 53, and 501, what you get? 6, 6, 6. This is the number of the beast. This is the number of that degenerate institution today that is being exposed for the umpteenth time for what it has been doing, what it is doing, and what it will continue to do. Now, how do we deal with all of this? What does all of this mean? It means seeing this, we don't need to be sending our children off to be abused.
Now, what I want to say before we close is that you do the research and you do the studying, because everyone has an interpretation of what 666 means. Now, this is his interpretation, okay? But you have other interpretations where 666, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, does not spell it out that way, okay? So even though you may be astute in certain areas, all scholars don't know everything, okay? And so you have to do the research and the studying before you accept it, okay? Because the fact that this number is gained so much attention, and the story within itself is because it's been given to us in a way of evil to use it against us, and it's really not that. It's a lot deeper than that. So I just want to say that, and we're going to close. So you have to do the research, and we're going to be coming back, and what I'm going to give you, I just wanted you to hear him. And we're going to bring you another interpretation of what 666 is, okay? Because he's coming from a biblical reference. And you can go and study him. His name is Dr. Ishikamusa Berashenko, okay? And you can do your own research and follow us. But we're going to be coming back with another interpretation, and we're going to continue this series when we, of course, have time to do that. So continue to stay with us. We thank you for being with us, and we thank you for spending time. Again, this is Seth Moore coming to you on Anchor by Spotify, Whale, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Patreon, and many, many more host sites. So until next time, you guys have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. Take care.